You know, there are a few weapons out there that inspire both total awe and, frankly, a bit of terror, quite like the AC-130 gunship. On the battlefield, it's earned this legendary, almost mythical status.
For more than half a century, troops on the ground have looked up and called it the Angel of the Night. But for anyone on the receiving end of its firepower, well, its presence is nothing short of terrifying. Let's be real, this thing is a flying battleship.
And here's the wildest part. Unlike pretty much any other attack aircraft that dives or strafes a target, the AC-130's deadliest trick is to just fly in a slow, constant circle. I mean, that sounds completely counterintuitive, almost bizarre, right?
So that's the big question we're going to dig into. How did this massive, kind of lumbering cargo plane with a bunch of guns bolted to its side become one of the most feared and effective close air support platforms in history? All right, let's break it down.
Okay, so first up, we have to get our heads around what makes this aircraft so unique. Its entire design philosophy really goes against the whole fast and high logic of most modern military jets.
The AC-130 likes to operate at pretty low altitudes, think around 7,000 feet, and it works almost exclusively at night. But here's the absolute key. Its weapons aren't mounted facing forward. Nope, they're all positioned on the port, or the left, side of the aircraft. This weird design is the secret to its whole method of attack.
That side-firing setup is what makes its signature move possible, the pylon turn. By banking the aircraft and just circling a single point on the ground, the crew can train every single one of its weapons on that one spot and just hold them there, unleashing this continuous, devastatingly accurate storm of firepower that a normal strafing run could never ever match.
So, where did this strange but incredibly effective idea even come from? Well, like so many military innovations, the AC-130 was born out of the specific, brutal needs of a war.
The whole concept was first proven back in Vietnam with an aircraft called the AC-47 Spooky, and it worked. But it was built on an old World War II-era plane that was just too slow and couldn't carry enough ammo. The military needed something that could fly higher, faster, and stay in the air way longer. The brand new C-130 Hercules transport plane, it was the perfect candidate to become Gunship 2.
And boy, did it make an impact. It was immediate and it was devastating. During the war, these Spectre gunships were credited with destroying more than 10,000 North Vietnamese trucks along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, basically choking off a critical supply line. The concept wasn't just proven anymore, it was now indispensable.
Of course, a gunship is nothing without its guns, right? The story of the AC-130 is also the story of its constantly evolving and, frankly, its increasingly deadly arsenal.
So the gunship has gone through several major upgrades over the decades. It all started with the original AC-130A Spectre in Vietnam, which then evolved into the AC-130U Spooky in the 90s, and now we're at the state-of-the-art AC-130J Ghostrider. Each generation didn't just bolt on new weapons, it brought in entirely new technologies. So check this out, because this is the really crucial part. It's the change in philosophy. The early models, like the Spectre, were all about just filling an area with lead. A literal wall of fire from Gatling guns, cannons, and even a massive 105mm Howitzer. But now, look at the modern Ghostrider. Yeah, it still has cannons, but it's also a launch platform for precision weapons like Hellfire missiles and small glide bombs. This lets it hit targets with surgical accuracy from much farther away.
In this evolution, it's not just about the guns, it's about what aims them. Modern AC-130s are just packed with incredibly sophisticated sensor suites. We're talking infrared, radar, electro-optical systems, and advanced fire control computers. This lets the crew find and ID targets with astonishing clarity, day or night, in pretty much any weather.
After proving itself in Vietnam, the AC-130 basically became the go-to asset for U.S. Special Operations Command, and its service record, well, it reads like a history of modern conflict. Let's take the 1983 invasion of Grenada. AC-130s were absolutely critical. They circled high above, suppressing enemy anti-aircraft guns and totally paving the way for U.S. forces to capture the main airfield.
Okay, fast forward to Panama in 1989. You've got a dense urban battle, and these gunships surgically dismantled the Panama Defense Force headquarters and provided a protective ring of fire for troops fighting from street to street. During Operation Desert Storm in 1991, they were used for what's called battlefield interdiction, basically hunting and destroying enemy forces behind the front lines. They famously helped stop an entire Iraqi armored column during the Battle of Khafji. But this conflict also revealed the gunship's Achilles heel.
In the early morning hours of January 31, 1991, an AC-130 with the call sign Spirit 03 was supporting Marines on the ground. Now, as dawn approached, the threat from surface-to-air missiles was growing, but the crew chose to stay on station. The aircraft was shot down, and all 14 crew members were killed. It was just a tragic reminder of the risks involved and of the gunship's profound role as a guardian for troops in need.
That loss back in '91 really foreshadowed the huge challenge the AC-130 faces today. The big question is, can this Cold War design actually survive on a 21st century battlefield?
So here's the core problem. The AC-130 was built to dominate in what's called permissive airspace, basically where the enemy has little to no real air defense. But the future battlefield is a contested combat zone, and that's filled with advanced missiles, stealth jets, and sophisticated radar systems that make a big, slow-moving plane a very, very easy target.
To try and counter this, the Air Force has been exploring some truly futuristic upgrades for the newest AC-130J. I mean, we're talking about standoff munitions, drones that launch from the plane itself to go spot targets, and even, for a while, a high-energy laser weapon.
But that whole laser project hit a really fascinating snag. In 2024, the program got canceled. So why? Well, it turns out that mounting a laser on the side of a plane and firing it while you're flying creates so much air turbulence that it actually disrupts and weakens the beam itself. It's a perfect example of a sci-fi idea colliding with the hard realities of physics.
And that really leaves us with the ultimate question for this legendary aircraft. Is the fundamental idea of a low and slow gunship circling its prey just obsolete now? To survive the battlefields of the future, will the AC-130 have to give up its iconic pylon turn and transform into something completely new, a high-altitude standoff platform that just launches smart weapons from miles away? Only time will tell.